doing? And welcome. Wow, there's already 9 of you here and 2 thumbs up. That's not quite unprecedented, but that's pretty cool. So I guess 2 of you dropped once you realized I was here. That's kind of odd. But welcome, everybody. How are you doing? I'm going to start off by saying this. You know, ever since it was quite clear that the Raiders, in fact, take a look at who's on TV, folks, real quick. Who's that? Right? Khalil Mack. Need I say, okay? Khalil Mack on the NFL Network. And that's as much as I can show for copyright reasons, but he just popped up. So just wanted to show you that he popped up because Khalil Mack, Marlon Mack. But I wanted to show you that that popped up, but it helps me underscore my point. Ever since it was clear the Raiders weren't winning, there was this idea that the players were tanking. The players were tanking because they were tanking. For those of you who don't understand what that means that you're trying to not play well to get a draft pick for the team next year. Well, that doesn't make any sense. First of all, it's basically a 50% chance that any player is not going to be with the team that he signed with in the NFL the next year. It, uh, Even if you have a contract, anything can happen, okay? Before that, players don't play to lose games, they play to win. And people can, offer all kinds of explanations and everything else, but the bottom line is that no player is going to admit to tanking, all right? And the only time that that subject comes up is in the sphere of conversation of gambling, okay? But, but, what if it's an owner, okay? The person who owns the team controls the purse strings. And because you control the purse strings, you control who gets to be signed and who isn't. I'm throwing this out there. Mark Davis, and I'm not the first to offer this today, okay? Mark Davis is tanking the Raiders because of the money problems in Las Vegas and his impatience with the on the field performance of the Raiders in that regard. And I also think, to be honest, some other things that might be going on in his life. And I say that for this reason. One thing I've noticed about Mr. Davis is his tendency to react rash in a rash way or in an unusual way to what he perceives, okay? And as Cowboy Russia just said, the tanking season has Davis fingerprints all over it. Oh yeah, it does. But I remember when we were in Las Vegas. We were in Las Vegas. No, we were in Phoenix, Arizona, for the NFL annual meeting where the Vegas decision was made. And I just want to say hello, everybody. But and if you're wondering what I'm staring at over here, I'll give you a picture. It's this. It's you. Ta-da! See that? That's what I'm saying. You can see it better. Right. But my point is that is that there, after the owners gave Davis the right to conditionally move to Las Vegas, he confronted Godfather Grizz in the lobby. And I should have just turned on the camera and just, as soon as Mark walked up, I should have just turned it on. I don't know what was going through my head. But I think I know what was going through my head. I didn't want Mark to just get scared off and not say anything to Godfather Grizz, right? Oh my God, cameras, okay. So I wanted the scene to play out. That's why I did it. Anyway, he said, I need you. I want you to come to Vegas, that sort of thing. And Godfather Grizz says, why? He says, you're taking the team away from Oakland. Okay. Why are you doing this? All right. And he continued to try to, Davis did try to get Godfather Grizz to work with him, and Godfather didn't bite. But it was a reaction to the fact that Davis knew he'd screwed up and he needed help from a friend. And after the press conference, the impromptu press conference we had in the lobby of the San Francisco Ritz-Carlton on May 19th of 2015, where I had asked Mr. Davis, I said, are you working behind the back of Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf to move to Carson, because she's under the impression that you're trying to stay in Oakland, and that's all she knows. And he finally admitted, he says, I'm just trying to get the best deal for my team. Basically, he didn't back away from it. When it was quite obvious that week, the Raiders were working to move to Carson. In fact, in a momentary digression, Mark Bedane, the Raiders president, had given the mayor of Carson a Raider pin just 2 days later. It flew down there to do so. Anyway, after Davis got grilled by the press, including myself, Mike Silver, Mr. Davis, and I were standing in the lobby, off to the side near the elevator. We're talking about the then new PAT rule, right? And all of a sudden, I was saying, well, you should start your own task force to build a stadium. And to make a long story short, he goes, you make a plan, which is how all that started. I said, what? He goes, you make a plan. And I stared at Mike Silver, who I know since I think I was 22 and he's 18, right? And we both looked at each other. And Davis said, you make a plan, send it to Will Kiss over there. Will Kiss is the Raiders public relations person, not public affairs director, that's Mike Taylor. The legendary Mike Taylor, I have to add. Seriously, Mike's been around a long time, great dude, one of the great African-American executives in sport, okay? Unheralded, should be heralded, but I digress again. Now, so that was Davis' reaction. You come up with a plan, you do something. And I asked him 3 times. And then Silver put it on Twitter. He says, I was there, moment of Zinni. You can go to Twitter, search for Mike Silver's Twitter account, Zinni, moment of Zinni. It's still there. So as evidence, I said, Mike, put that on Twitter because no one's going to believe this happened. You know how people are. They're going to say, oh, well, that didn't happen. They're going to try to explain it away when in point of fact it happened. Okay. So my point is that Davis has this tendency, and go through other examples as well. He has a tendency to just react in a way that's dramatic. A dramatic broad stroke is what it is. So this year he made a number of dramatic broad strokes. And I think a number of them were, first of all, in their reaction to something. The one thing their reaction to is the fact that the Las Vegas move is not going well. And folks, I point back to what I talked about again and again and again and again. And it's not going to drive the Raiders into bankruptcy at this point, okay? But it will cause the stadium, and it's already causing the stadium's construction schedule to be drawn out. And if you take a look at where the stadium is right now, in reality, versus the model, they're vastly different, okay? So it's clear that they're off-timed. Take a look at them. It's clear that they're off-timed. I'm gonna make a special video about that, but it's clear that they're off-timed. And I would estimate that right now, okay, you say, what's the problem? The problem is that the hotel stadium tax is not generating enough money compared to what they said it was going to generate at this point in time, and compared to the bond debt service that they're gonna have to start paying on come next month. Yeah, January, actually April of next year. So they have a problem, okay? And someone says, oh, the bond reserve will take care of it. No, the bond reserve will not take care of it because there's not enough money being put out to replenish the bond reserve. It's a general obligation bond. What that means, folks, is that it falls on the taxpayers of Clark County. But for the meantime, until the bond issue kicks in and down the road Clark County's general fund is threatened. The Raiders have been collecting that money on a pay-as-you-go position on a monthly basis to help pay for construction for the stadium. So let's say you have to pay it, you're collecting that money, right? That money, this happened in April of this year. The money turned to come to you. So you expect a certain check, so you get 48 million. Now you look at that and you think, well, gee, according to consulting calculations, we were supposed to get 60 million. Well, they didn't get 60, or, not 60, 90 million, 90 million. They got 72 million. The bottom line is they were short by 10 million, okay? When you're short by that much in terms of construction, you can't just turn around and say, well, we're going to build this part anyway. You've got to assess your rate of build versus the amount of money that you've got. And if you don't have enough money, you have to slow down. There's certain areas where if you don't have enough money to build, and on top of that, you're not getting, say, your rebar shipments when you're supposed to get them, which is another problem that happened, you've got to slow down. That's just the realities of construction. And the Raiders would be better off. And I think would garner a truly sympathetic audience if they said, hey, look, here's our delays, here's what's happening, you need to know. But no, they have to put a good face on these things, ostensibly because they believe it helps to get sponsors. You know, they're not handling it the right way, okay? They're not handling it the right way. No one's going to fault an organization for having problems with an enormous construction project. This is an enormous construction project, and I tell everyone that. You can't just build a stadium. That's not how it works, okay? There are thousands of people involved in this, millions of parts, ostensibly, ultimately millions of parts. And I don't mean, just the euphemistic or the working parts thing. No, there really are a million parts. Nails, hammers, screws. A lot goes into building a stadium of that size. And then, of course, you've got complications with the foundation. You've got an earthquake fault that begins not less than, a city block away from it, the Decatur fault. You have a parking problem that you still have to pay for. All that falls on Davis, and he doesn't have any sponsors lined up. Now, Adelson has done a good job of letting him, go through this thing, right? And so Adelson let him go through this thing, okay? Now, that's why I say that, and here's the reason, that those are the part of the reasons I say that he's tanking it. Here's the pièce de résistance. Here's the big reason. About a month and a half ago, Mark Davis said that he was going to step back from football. He said that. In fact, I'm gonna find that right now. I'm writing Mark Davis step back from Raiders in search, and it's he basically said that he was going to. Oh, here it is. Raiders owner Mark Davis slides back into shadows. Okay, and that was March. That was March of this year, March 20th, where this idea that he was going to step back into the shadows came out. He was basically going to leave the team to two people, John Gruden, okay, John Gruden, and Reggie McKenzie. That was his idea, and he said that he had his future planned out. Once he got into Vegas, it was just going to be it, all right. But he sent out the idea that, hey, you know what? I'm going to bow out. And he didn't. He did anything but that. He engineered the Khalil Mack trade. And then basically stood up and said, yeah, I'm the person who said that we should trade him because we're not going to pay him that kind of money. And then he most recently said that Amari Cooper, the Raiders' great wide receiver, didn't fit with the Raiders because of the Raiders' system. I mean, who would, what? I mean, who would actually say that? Think about it. I mean, because it opens up a lot of questions. If Amari Cooper doesn't fit with your system, you drafted him. And Amari Cooper was drafted by the Oakland Raiders on Davis' watch. So all of a sudden, Amari Cooper doesn't fit with the system that the Raiders want to run. I've never heard that before. No one has. And what do you want to run? There's no system in existence today that would not benefit from Amari Cooper's presence. None. Okay? Unless, of course, you're going to have him just simply stand. Well, even if you're going to have him do something, that the fact that you're having him do something is testament to his value. So again, all right? So as Black Lion just wrote, Davis was behind the entire thing all along. He was. You know, and look, as much as I love Amy Trask, okay, I'm looking at your comments here. Hey, Eric Young. But Amy says, hey, we should have the Raiders should have this great celebration and big send-off and everything. And look, I would be shocked if the Raiders actually did that at this short notice, because this is a reaction to them being sued, as opposed to playing out the string. It's like, no, well, I'm going to leave now. As opposed to having the whole year to plan for this. Okay. But again, this is another reaction. This is a rash reaction. Okay. So Jacob P says, was it Davis or was Davis trying to protect Gruden? I think it was Davis trying to do both. He's trying to protect not just Gruden, but the fact that he pledged to spend $100 million on Gruden, and this is what he's getting. And I'm sorry, I don't see any sign of the Raiders getting better toward next year. And I don't mean in terms of players, I mean in terms of coaching style and acumen, okay? I don't see it. And Black Lion says Chucky didn't know anything about it, but my whole point is that he didn't. But my whole point is that Davis is trying to protect him. Now I'm going to go through and get to your comments. Cowboy Wrestler says Derek Carr told CBS that he wants the Raiders to play in Fresno in 2019. Hello. And happy holidays, everybody. Hope your holidays is a good one. And Cowboy Wrestler says that Mark Davis is acting like his father. Todd Gake, is that how I pronounce your last name? Says, well, next Monday is last ever Oakland Raiders game in Oakland at the Coliseum. Hope you all enjoy it. The atmosphere is going to be very awkward. I agree. I mean, there's two ways to go. You can either say everybody is going to be there and it's going to be a sellout, or there are people who dump their season tickets who are simply not going to go. So if you have the last game in Oakland and it's empty seats, what does it say? Okay. Respawn Studios says, what do you make of the A's wanting to move to Howard Terminal now? Will become a Coliseum land. I love the Howard Terminal idea, the Coliseum land under the A's proposal with private financing entirely, okay? And maybe only a smidgen of public assistance would call for the A's to own the Coliseum land and to use much of that land for development that would then be poured, the money from the rents and a percentage of net operating income would go into financing the stadium at Howard Terminal. If the city of Oakland uses tax increment financing at Howard Terminal, the A's don't need to have, okay? The A's don't need to have the Coliseum land. Because with tax increment financing, over $300 million can be raised, almost $400 million, of which only $227 million needs to be poured into the baseball stadium. The rest could go, say, $85 million for affordable housing, okay? But the A's, that's the option there. It's all about the lack of public money that they believe is going to be available. So that's the answer to that question. And Hennessy says he's not fit to be an owner of the team, talking about Mark Davis. Black Lion says, I hate to say I told you so, but but here's the thing. Black Lion, when I disagree with you about tanking, it was around the idea that it was the players that were doing it. But when you're the owner of the team and you're ripping away the locker room, that's what's happened. The Raiders have ripped the locker room away. I mean, think about you're talking about major players that this has happened to. Major players. Hey, everybody, welcome to Zennia 62 tonight. Major players, okay? Khalil Mack, Amari Cooper, ripped away, gone. Of number of minor players, a number of, look, Kevin Martavis Bryant, suspension upheld, gone. And he was that was a signature move that had John Gruden written all over it. And these are three major examples of a locker room that has been a constant state of flux. You cannot play effective football and John Gruden said himself, moving parts. And what he was talking about was the uncertainty that certain positions and certain whole parts of his squad were going to be intact. Okay, that's what he's talking about, and that's a huge problem. So excuse me for a second here. What I'm doing is because the only reason they didn't trade Carr was because the tanking would have been all too obvious. I think it would have been. I think it's not so much that the tanking would have been obvious, which it would have, but also trading Carr for, let's say, starting A.J. McCarron would have so wrecked the fan base that they wouldn't have been able to sell any tickets, either now or into the future. So Derek Carr basically buys the Raiders insurance for the future, okay? I was just plugging in my phone to make sure that, plugging it into the computer and make sure the power is going. But Derek Carr buys the Raiders insurance now through the future. It says to Vegas people, hey, this is our guy, our star. Buy luxury boxes, all right? Buy sponsorships, okay? Because he's coming to Vegas, even though, also all signs point to the possibility that he may not even join the team beyond the first year in Vegas. There is that possibility. Derek Carr may not be with the Raiders next year. The way scenarios are shaping up with the Buccaneers and Jameis Winston, although I hope they keep Jameis, I think Jameis would be also better served in another place with a coach who has the appropriate acumen to teach him the passing game really well. Is that John Gruden? I think so. I think John still, with respect to pass patterns and accuracy and training and coaching with quarterbacks, he still has that part of, all right, even if overall in terms of administration he's lacking in other areas, but he does have that part. You can't take that away from him. So hey, Richard Hike, how you doing? The entrepreneur said, Richard, are you going to the Raider game by chance? The entrepreneur says he is impulsive so much that he alienated an Oakland fan base that he's depending to fly out and support the Vegas team. Yeah. Rob Iman says the creditors will own the Raiders soon enough. Rob, you're on that idea. Why, I don't know. But I think it'll be the casinos that'll own him before anybody else. Ms. Zeitgeist, haven't seen you in some time. Ms. Zeitgeist says, Ms. Mike Felger said the same thing lots of people here are saying, that the owners voted for the Vegas relocation so Mark would go bankrupt and sell the team. And that does match, however, with, and that's why I say that the casinos will wind up owning him before the creditors did. But that's why I say that Mr. Ross, who owns the Dolphins, said to me, hey, he doesn't have the deep pockets. I don't know what he's going to do. And that Mr. Ross said that to me as I was having dinner with a group of black journalists at the NFL annual meeting 2 years ago. And we were at the same steak restaurant in Phoenix. So, okay. So, and we ran into each other. at 10 o'clock at night. So anyway, Black Lion says, all of the dirty dealings with this move going to come to light very soon. I agree. The Entrepreneur says, I'm no mathematician, but if the Raiders are worth $2 billion and Mark owns 40%, then if he borrowed $700 million, which he didn't do, he has literally mortgaged his entire ownership stake on working on it, right? That's, you could say that. I mean, but here's the fact: he didn't borrow $700 million. Okay, that $700 million from the state of Nevada is basically a grant of a sort. All right, because if the bond issue, if the flow of money from the hotel stadium tax can't cover the bond issue, then the taxpayers of Clark County automatically pay for it. Why? It's called a general obligation bond. That's what general obligation bonds do. They reach into your general fund for money. It's been screamed, the fact that this is falling on the taxpayer has screamed loud and clear from the moment that bond issue was designed. But I'm going to say something that's going to upset some people, but I'm saying this to wake you all up. It shows the collective stupidity of people that they will allow this with no hue and cry. The Nevada Taxpayers Association, and I got after them, I called them, because they were just sitting back and saying nothing, okay, allowed this to happen as much as anybody else did. And they are the Nevada Taxpayers Association. Ostensibly there to protect the taxpayer. Forget it. Okay? So they just stood silent. That's the way the culture works there. All right? I don't want to piss them off. I don't want to do that. All right? That's the way the culture works. But this bond is already on the backs of the taxpayer. By design, okay? By design. So they can have this problem of hotel stadium tax revenues being lower than they should be. It's okay. The public will pay for it. That's really what they're thinking, and they've said so in sideways ways. But they're not going to say so directly because politically it would look bad, even though right now there's very little that anyone seems to really want to do anything about it. Our culture is at a point where people, and this was predicted years ago, that with little end of the 9-to-5 work week and people making different jobs to stay ahead, and the 2 and 3 and 4 in our family that's emerged, people would be so busy that they wouldn't care to focus on the things that are actually eating away at their livelihood, and be able to protest, say, hey, we don't want this, and we don't want the people that are allowing it. But that's what we're getting. You have to pay attention and not text people, but make phone calls and say, I don't want this. I'm talking about you people who are watching who are in Nevada and every place else. And this is not just this issue, but in various aspects of society. The feeling is that particularly the generation that's average age of 26 just lets people control them. Hey, Pro Under Pressure, welcome. So, and I'm just laying out to you what has been in the literature and in discussions amongst urban planning. My background is in city planning for decades in terms of how society is changing, and we're seeing it. Okay, you have to be careful of how you let society change around you. So getting back to Davis, what he borrowed was $850 million line of credit from Bank of America. And here's how the deal works, okay? If the Raiders can't pay that $850 million line of credit, that's considered a default because Bank of America owns the leasehold. So for all practical purposes, the actual landlord from the Raiders' perspective is really Bank of America, all right? The actual landlord is really the Bank of America. And so, all right, so, hey, Patrick and Blackman, how you doing? Patrick, you my email? So, if the Raiders can't pay off the $850, then Bank of America takes over the leasehold. Okay. Um, and awesome. Hey, so Eric Young, great. And as Black Lion says, yeah, Davis was behind this entire time. James McClendon says this whole relocation project to Vegas is meeting so much resistance. It's like they're trying to put a square uh, pig in a round block. They are. It wasn't. It wasn't done by a vote of the people. Okay. And so you can't just throw people on them. And Raider Gann says, I told you guys at the beginning of the season this is going to happen. Be prepared, Vegas. Davis will lose the franchise and you'll be stuck footing the bill. Al's cousin says, yeah. And so, folks, for those of you watching this and think I'm coming up with stuff, I want you to research one thing. General obligation bonds. NFL, Jacob Peace asks a great question. Jacob says, how could the NFL allow this? Well, Commissioner Goodell didn't want this, okay? There are a number of people in the league who didn't want this. I mean, consider that, you know who Tony Romo is because he just called the games tonight, right? Tony Romo had this organization that was going to do a fundraiser. And yeah, Pro Pressure, he was right. Jerry Jones, among others, wanted it, but Jerry Jones most notably wanted it. But let me get to the Jones factor in a second, okay? The NFL had a lawsuit against Tony Romo's organization because of an event they were trying to hold in Las Vegas. And the NFL didn't want them to, all right? And they eventually, well, the NFL prevailed. That was 2015. Think about that. The NFL prevailed in a court battle in 2015. And then what happens the very next year? Well, that happens by the league, all right? One of their own, Mark Davis, is prepping to go to Vegas. Eric Grubman says the owners will never allow it, right? But Davis is under the impression, for good reason, okay, that, and so basically, for good reason, but for good reason. There's a document, if I can find here easily, I want you to see, okay? Because it should be known by more people than I believe it is. And I want you to take a look at this. It's, let's see if I can find this. I'm going to go through and try to find this bad boy. But it's a document that was written at UNLV, and basically it lays out the groundwork for gambling, sports gambling, okay? And meeting Las Vegas. All right. And it's a great long academic document that if you have a chance, you really should read. You really should. It's gambling. If you haven't had a chance before. Okay. Red again says, oh, Tony asked a question, and and once I find this, and I'm about a few seconds away from locating it, I will show you, okay? And it is, let's see here. Don't see this, don't see this, don't see this, don't see this. Don't see this. Here we go. It's called Professional Team Sports in Las Vegas, What the Research Says. I have a copy of it, all right? Just found it, okay? It's this study that formed the basis for everything that Mark is doing right now. Right here. This one. UNLV International Gaming Institute. Professional Team Sports in Las Vegas, What the Research Says, okay? This is a very, very important document. And I want everybody to take time to read it. It's unov.edu, sites, default page, published research NFL study. Okay, so you can type UNLV NFL study and find it in search. Okay, but it talks about sociology, criminology, psychological research. There's a table of contents. All right. Lack of culture and community. Is there more in Las Vegas? Problem gambling in an NFL population. Gambling disorders. Support services. Remote wagering. Effects of team. Look at this. Marginal effects of team relocation and economic analysis. All right. Um, you think this is going to wind up in court? Ha ha ha. Okay. Nevada minimum controls for sports books. Conclusions and recommendations. Conclusions, 84 pages. All right. In fact, let's see what the conclusions read real quick, folks. This is it. This is what swayed Mark Davis. This was why he has put the fan base through so much trouble. It's 119 pages. So I can grab this and go down to page 84. 69, 71, 75, 77. Crime rates, 80. Yeah, here we go. Conclusions and recommendations, all right? The purpose of the study was to review several important issues that are commonly considered when examining whether Las Vegas is a suitable location for an NFL team. In particular, this report will address two broad questions: will the presence of legal sports wagering, gambling more generally in Nevada, lead to integrity issues for a professional league franchise in Las Vegas? Will operating in Las Vegas lead to a unique policing, disciplinary, and/or image issues for a professional league? And the conclusions are these. It says sports integrity is a prominent concern. It says they believe that the increased risk of detection by sports books would be they said criminal behavior related to game fixing is unlikely to change as a result of team relocation to Vegas. We conclude, alongside many other observers, that due to the rigor of Nevada's regulatory practices, the state's approach will actually provide sports leagues with their best opportunity to protect themselves when it comes to the all-important issue of integrity. And they talk about public health and gambling disorders. I don't see anything here about relocation. And there's recommendations. If an NFL team moves to Vegas, the affiliated professional league and team should immediately develop a collaborative relationship with local gaming regulatory authorities to ensure the information and expertise sharing is maximized, best practices are followed, and prompt reporting of any concern is ensured. Okay? Then it lays out these. It says if a team moves to Vegas, it should establish certain compliance and training plans. Okay? So it lays it all out here. And then it talks about internal controls. It's very detailed, all right? You know what this is, basically? This is a business plan for sports wagering in Las Vegas. That's what that is. That was what Mark Davis used, and he took it to the NFL. Okay? Yeah, it is interesting. He took that to the NFL. This has been read by every NFL owner, and this is why you see this sudden rash of deals announced between MGM Entertainment and the Baltimore Ravens, for example, or the Oakland Raiders, all right, and other NFL teams like the New York Jets. So this is, but with respect to the Raiders in Las Vegas, this document specifically deals with that. Okay, specifically deals with that. They've got everything. He just mentions payout standards, wagering accounts, supervisory approval. These things are laid out in tremendous detail. I mean tremendous detail, okay? So Davis undoubtedly looked at this and said, hey, you know what? Um, I've got what I need. The only component I don't see with that is a calculation, and I'm sure somebody has one. I'd be shocked if someone didn't have one of what the Raiders could make in Las Vegas. The question is, how would they split those fees? Because in Las Vegas, if you're making a lot of money, there's always a number of people that are going to want to make that money with you. It's the culture. Okay. Um, so, in this, because now, here's the other thing. It sounds perfect, but within that, if people feel that you've got this right and you're building this, there's always going to be a hiccup. There's always going to be someone who wants more money than they thought you thought they were going to want, or they're going to engineer for themselves a way to get some of that money. And I bet you Davis is dealing with this in some kind of way. This is not easy, folks. What he is trying to do is not easy. And here's the other catch. Had Mark Davis just waited for the Supreme Court, could do the same thing in Oakland. You could take this, all right, because the Supreme Court basically said, hey, sports gambling is okay. You do the same thing at the Coliseum, or at the Warriors' new arena, or at Cal, or any place else, okay? There should be a regional Bay Area sports gambling commission. You hear what I'm saying? There should be a San Francisco Bay Area Sports Gambling Commission. I'll repeat that again. There should be a San Francisco Bay Area Sports Gambling Commission. There should also be a regional sports gambling commission in Nevada. Let's call it the Southern Nevada Sports Gambling Corporation. Where did I get my degree? Texas and Berkeley. So at any rate, yeah, the NorCal Sports Gambling Commission, as Rob Iman would call it. Yeah, NorCal Sports Gambling Commission, Las Vegas Sports Gambling Commission. I can see these sports gambling commissions. In fact, that would be a great column to write because I invented the term. I could see these sports gambling commissions springing up all over the country. Okay. Well, thanks, man. So I think I understand what Mark is trying to do. Okay. And what happens, and the reason for this sea change, because this goes back to what Jacob P. asked me. Jacob P. says, well, how did the NFL do this happen? I'll answer your question in one word. Going back to Thurston Howell III, money. Money. Love it, it's money. Oh my goodness, you can wash yourself all over with it, honey. It's money. Money. Okay. Money. That's how. And it's not just, money for its own sake per se, but the NFL's future. The NFL is looking out at its future, and it's seeing a future where media is going more the route of streaming, and the ad dollars on a per streaming basis are not what they have been for cable subscriptions. What's going on with cable? Cutting the cord. Now, cutting the cord, just saying that is one thing, but what does it mean financially? It means that the cable organizations don't get the money that they used to have, that then transforms into gigantic multi-billion-dollar payments to the National Football League, like the one that Fox made several years ago in 2011 that set records. Okay? The NFL is fearful as player expenses go up, they're not going to see that money again in the future. All right? And it's not that the value of the sport is diminishing. What's being threatened is the way the league can make its money in the next 50 years. That's how you say, why 50 years? Well, look, you've got facilities you play in for that long. Look at Soldiers Field and the Bears, okay? So, or at least half that long. You have to think in terms of the long term. Patrick and Black says, how NFL replace Oakland number 6 market with Vegas 42nd market? Gambling. People are using Cody now with add-ons, which is free. Gambling. Because what Vegas, here's the thing, all right? Having said that, you say to me, well, Zinni, you just said that the Supreme Court legalized gambling in, the Bay Area case, so how come the Bay Area can't remain on top? The Bay Area can remain on top. This should be a come-to-Jesus moment for the Bay Area in terms of getting its sports act together. because the Bay Area does not have a great regional sports organization. Raider Gann says, Pro Under Pressure says, was Oakland even willing to fund a new stadium though? Yeah, actually it was, Pro, and I'm glad you asked that. You live in Reno. The Fortress Investments plan, the Fortress Investments / Ronnie Lott plan, or if you like the Ronnie Lott / Fortress Investments plan, called for and agreed upon by the city $350 million of investment. So the city and the county of Alameda were investing in it. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. Okay? So that was there. Raider Gann says, in hindsight, seeing how the Raiders conducted themselves in this whole debacle, do you support Libby's? No, I don't, because, as I said to Libby in 2015, this is what bothers me, is simply that I said, give the NFL the land and then arrange for them it's like a sale leaseback. Give them the land, okay, in a sense, all right. All this, but then have them lease it, have them pay us back in installments as they own it, year after year, okay? Because here's the reason: we would gain a property tax payer. What's the value of that? We want to use tax increment financing to help pay for the stadium, okay? The only way you can do that is if the stadium is privately owned. I was trying to explain that to Libby in 2015. I was under the impression by our text messages that she got that, but she never changed. She was under the idea, well, that's our land. She wrote, in the documents that she wrote for the NFL, that's what was written. And I looked at this and I thought, are you freaking kidding me? You don't just say, oh, this is my land. That's not how it works. It's not, and also, it's not a gift of public funds either. Economic development officers have been doing land write-downs and trades for decades in America, okay? You want to see some of the best examples of economic development? Look at Mobile, Alabama, and how it built steel industry and manufacturing industry down in Mobile, Alabama. Or look at how Mercedes wound up in various places in the South, or any of these German companies, these German car companies. Look at the economic development officials that went to woo them. All right? And the deals that were made. These are all deals, folks. Okay? Deals approved by legislatures, I might add, and city council persons, and county supervisors, and county administrators. Okay? So, Raider Voice says, Oakland not only sued the Raiders, but all teams combined, that's a 32-head monster. So what? What's your point? John Acala says, I heard NFL has to approve Raiders' temporary relocation. I don't think they will unless they choose Santa Clara, and I think that's another question for Davis. That's a $14 million question. Ryan Abbott says, does bond include interest in the bond amount, or is that separate? No, the bond is there. In fact, Ryan, that's a great question. You can go to, it's online, Clark County Stadium Bond Issue on page, I believe it's 36. You can see the debt service schedule. What does that mean? That's the payments that are owed. Now, here's the thing when you look at it, because the one calculation that's not in that ledger, all right, okay, all right, the one calculation that's not on that ledger. Hey, moderators, are you at work tonight? The one calculation that's not on that ledger is this. You have to include something called the debt coverage ratio. What is that? That is the assumed bond. That's a number times the debt. So that bond debt that I'm referring to, it's on page 36, you need to take each one of those annual figures and multiply them times 1.5. That's the debt coverage ratio that's used. That is the amount of money that is needed, that's supposed to be there, that the revenue can cover, and the revenue doesn't cover it, okay? So any bond insurer would look at that and say, hey, you got a problem, man. Look at, what's this? Your money is not matching it. And a friend of mine who's been a municipal investment banker for like 20 years looked at the situation, didn't want to, he gave me a quote, but says, do not, he said this, do not attach my name to it. Why? Because, look, bond people are salespeople. They're selling a financial instrument. It's like somebody, selling a glass for you to buy, but it's a financial instrument. Or like someone selling you a type of mortgage. It's the same thing, just on a larger level. They want to sell their instruments. He wants to be thought of as a great salesman. So he's not going to go off half-cocked using his name saying, I said this against, what could be a future customer. No. No one in the industry is going to do that. So you're not going to hear it. You will hear it from critics. You will hear it from good government people. That's the way it is. And you'll hear it from yourself if you take time to do the numbers, which, and I can say this because I'm old enough to remember a time we didn't have the internet. We have the internet that allows you to do. That's why I get so freaking pissed. I'm saying, do you realize how lucky you are to be able to go and find these documents online and do the homework yourself and crunch the numbers and learn how to crunch the numbers? The calculations are all right there for you. What the fuck are you doing? Do the work. Just look at it. Okay? I mean, I don't believe this stuff. I really freaking don't believe how stupid this society has become with all the instruments out there at your disposal. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. This is for your own good to learn how stuff works, all right? In all aspects of life. Do the research. Do it. Okay? Don't just trust somebody. Zinni said, hey, I love it when somebody goes back and says, hey, Zinni, I found this. Can you explain this? Or Zinni, you said this, but I did this calculation. I found this. Ding! Awesome. Awesome. Because I'm always learning. That's how hey, look, in fact, speaking of always learning, in my newest little edition, just want to kind of pat myself on the back for a second. This is on Oakland News Now. My blog, right? This is our new chat area, quick chat. Okay, so you can come and you've got your area there, and you can type in your exchange. That's my blog. All right. Credentialed for CES, by the way. Okay. But anyway, that's the whole point. Got a new chat area here. Quick chat. So you can type your name in, and I can say hello. I'm writing hello. Like here, see, I'm writing hello, and then I'm pressing return, right? Like that. And then watch what happens. Okay? And momentarily. Well, that didn't happen, did it? Oh, that's funny. Nothing happens on cue like you want it to. It's supposed to happen within a second. But at any rate, let's see here. Get rid of this. Try it again. Hello. Right, hello. Like that, right? Or send. I could write, yeah, hello. Do like this. I guess it works differently in a Chrome browser. Right? Hello. And, well, anyway. That's interesting. That's Chrome. It's supposed to work. Trust me, it does work in Firefox. Because if I went to Firefox, let me go to Firefox now, because now my pride is hurt. Or I can refresh the screen here and see if I refresh it, because that's a cache issue. And I have to look at that with Firefox. And let's see here. Scroll up, loading, and yeah, see? There it is. Hello, hello, hello. So I have to look at that. But anyway, as you can see, it does work. You type something in, it comes out like that. It works better. This is Chrome. It works better in Firefox. All right. I'm just bragging about my newest edition there. Check it out. All right. Now, back to your comments. Um, and I'll forget opening the other browser because it's going to take more memory that I want to use right now. Charles Davis says, go on big picture, the present, to see the truth about life, who can change the world on page 1, whatever. Okay, what that has to do with what I'm saying right now. All right. Let's see here. Black Lion says, there are elements that are going to come out about this deal that are shady at the least. True. Patrick in Blackman says, why people don't listen to you with your knowledge experience. I think, Patrick, just, to take your question head on, is today people don't want to hear a message that doesn't jibe with whatever they want to have happen in their mind, okay? So if we are, it could be anything in life. In this instance, it's about a deal that there are people who want, to have happen and go through and work. And I understand that. But it has problems, okay? And for my mind, does it mean now some people think that because I'm pointing out the problems, I have this idea that the Raiders are going to wind up staying in Oakland. I have never, ever espoused that idea at all. I have tried to explain that no deal is perfect and that this deal could fall apart. Now, would that lead the Raiders to staying in Oakland? It would be cool, but that doesn't necessarily mean, given the Raiders' track record, that would happen under Mark Davis. Would the mayor welcome such an outcome? Yeah, I think so. All right. But as Eric Young says, personally, I'm not so sure this will be the last game in Oakland. I don't think it will be either. Okay. All right. Patrick says my track record seems to be pretty good. Thanks. Actually, I like my track record. I'm still shocked the NFL allowed this to happen. There are people who want to point at the vote and say, hey, Zinni, you were wrong. Look, I feel like it was a cruel joke on Mark. All right? But also, and I think I can tell this now. I remember now I won't tell that aspect of it, but I will say this. I'll say this. The night of the vote, I was under the night before the Friday night, before the weekend, before the vote, I was under the impression that Oakland was going to pull off an 11th hour deal. And I really thought that's what Libby was going to do, but she didn't. Instead, she didn't do any deal making at the last minute, okay? And oh boy, that really hurts me just to think about that. It really does hurt because there are a number of people in the NFL who are, the commissioner included, all right, who were anguished. I can tell you this now. They were anguished, folks, over the way she did business. Okay, and I've told her that privately. They were, upset. Because there's certain concepts that she didn't get, all right, at the time. And I'm not saying this to be funny. I'm being honest. Someone has to tell the truth in all aspects about this because that's how you understand how we got here. Now, Patrick would say, well, how come, some people don't listen? Well, this is one reason why. I have a tendency to say, hey, look, this is the entire truth, and the entire truth means that all of us screwed up in some kind of way. You admit, you want to be a hero, first of all, say, hey, look, this is what I tried to do, it didn't work, fine. All right, whatever. Um, you know, Black Lion says the NFL wanted the Seahawks in LA and lost because of the Seattle fans, and that's a fact. Gagan Sani asks, how much is the city of Oakland asking from the Raiders for leaving? Well, nothing. It's what the city of Oakland would like is for the Raiders to come in and say, hey, look, here's a check for $300 million. Because according to the records of the Joint Powers Authority, technically that's what the Raiders would owe us for relocating. That's based on was supposed to be a non-recourse loan, but wound up being a payment to the NFL for relocating on the part of the Raiders. It was basically the first relocation fee, right? And because that's how the Supreme Court, the California Supreme Court, actually looked at it. And they said, hey, look, you can't, given the NFL's bylaws, the loan that you supposedly got from the city and the county can't be called a loan. You have to give that under the NFL Constitution, Raiders. You have to share that with the NFL. And the Raiders balked. Oh, you're kind of, oh, no. I said, no. But the court said, hey, and the NFL argued, hey, that's the way our bylaws are written. All right? It was way back in, 2005 when that just 2007, I believe, when that court case was finally adjudicated. So the financial report for the Joint Powers Authority has included what I call a ticking time bomb. And it's a paragraph that basically recites how, with interest, this thing is ballooning. That non-recourse loan, right, is ballooning. Now you would say, how is it a non-recourse loan? What's the payback? Great question, because as Ezra Rapport explained it to me, the idea was that as long as the Raiders were in Oakland, at the Coliseum, causing money to be spent, that was payment on the loan. The minute they stopped, it wasn't. Okay? In other words, hey, you look back and say, hey, what did it all total up to? Ding! $288 million. Pay us. Pay the city. Okay? There you go. There you go. But Raider Voice is about right. $500 million, I think, when you take that plus damages. John Collins says, do Raiders have an out clause from the Vegas Stadium deal? Yes. Several. The Raiders could, look, let's take the hotel stadium tax issue. The Raiders, I'll get to that in a second. The Raiders could claim breach of contract or breach of implied contract with respect to the problem with the stadium tax. Okay. Las Vegas counter. I'm not speaking of Las Vegas as the entities, Clark County, Nevada's counter, could be, hey, this is an act of God. They could point to the shooting. They could point to economic factors. They could say, look, this is an act of God. And we have no control over acts of God. Therefore, you cannot hold act of God against us. But the Raiders would say, hey, look, you promised us, and you have control over the tax rate, and you set the tax rate at this. That is a huge issue, folks. Okay? That is an enormous issue. And if it comes to pass that gap impedes Raiders construction and they can't get money to fill that gap that I'm telling you about, you heard it here first. That will come up. Okay, that's one way. The other way is a special tax that in some kind of way is imposed on the Raiders. That is specifically written in the lease. If there's any special tax that's applied, that automatically the non-relocation fee, the non-relocation agreement is null and void. Boom. So those are the two ways. Okay. So basically, those are the two ways. Those are the two outs the Raiders have. Those are the two primary outs. All right. Black Lion says, if the deal is considered unlawful, it's over for Vegas. True. Black Raider Voice says, Raiders are gone because, and I don't know that this lawsuit This lawsuit doesn't say that the deal. This lawsuit says basically, hey, in loud and clear, we were lied to. That's what the lawsuit says. It says we were lied to. You know, that's what the lawsuit says. You lied to us, and you did so to enrich yourselves. And from that cold perspective, they're dead on right. That's what it looks like, right? So Black Lion says there are elements that are, got that one. And Black Lion says, I don't think it was $500 million that Cleveland won their lawsuit. Yeah, and I don't think so either. Raider Voice says, will there be a riot or a celebration on Christmas Eve? Neither. I don't think there's going to be much. I think this is going to be more of a whimper than a bang. It's going to be like, because no one ever thought we would get here. It just happened as a reaction to the lawsuit. And then something else too. Mark could change his mind and say, this is the better thing for us is to try one more year. We worked it out, calm down, and move forward. Now, with every time somebody like me says that, he's probably saying, screw you, Zinni, I'm not going to do that. But there are other people who are talking with him, okay? Not just me. Cliff Branch, I understand, is a big proponent of Mark swallowing his pride. But that's what has gotten us into this. If Mark had just, I've said this before and I'll say it again, just slow your roll, man. Relax. Just let Mark Bedane handle it. I feel sorry for Mark Bedane because Mark is a good dude. Mark tries to be a good dude, okay? Mark is a good dude. Mark Bedane's a good dude. Now, you would say, why did I go through that little dance? And I'm saying because of all the stuff that's happened and the fact that he's president of the Raiders and he's allowing this to happen. And but it's clearly Mark Davis is putting his imprimatur on it, and Bedane's quite literally along for the ride. Having said that, though, Mark has himself set up for a bright future for himself and his family. Who can fault him for that? I can't. I got you. At all. Something else, too, and I've said this before, and I'll say this again. If you don't think professional football in Las Vegas is exciting as an idea, there's something wrong. It is very exciting as an idea, if it can be pulled off. Okay? What I don't like is that this is not a discussion about Las Vegas having its own branded expansion team like the NHL, right? That's the way this picture should be. It shouldn't be a zero-sum game. Someone wins, Las Vegas, someone loses, Oakland. That's what sucks about this. Zero-sum games are never fun, and they always end in ways that no one counted on. Take a look at LA. LA thought they had the Raiders. Then LA didn't have the Raiders. Had them for a few years. The LA Coliseum Commission did not behave properly, did not promise the luxury boxes that Mr. Davis wanted, and so Mr. Davis looked for an out. And on top of all that, the Raiders were not performing in Las Vegas like they were in LA. The Raiders were not performing in Los Angeles like they were in Oakland. So he came back to Oakland. This, however, is different. You're talking about a very beautiful stadium when it's done. That will change. There's no question about it. It will change the fabric of Las Vegas. No question about it, okay? And I know for a fact, as well as I know Las Vegas, there are a number of people who are angling to get a piece of that. Because there's no other structure like it in the valley. There's no other structure like that one being built in the valley. The only thing that comes close, or will come close in impact, is the MGM Sphere, which Adelson is involved in. Now, among all those people, Adelson could have killed this deal. He didn't. He's in the background. And I would guess that part of Mark Davis' behavior has to do with something that went wrong with Adelson. That's just, you know what that is? That is pure 1,000,000% speculation. That is a hypothesis. That is an educated guess based on study. But nonetheless, it is a guess. It's my spider sense tingling. It's saying, ooh, Adelson is upset with Davis about something that we don't know that's not public. Okay? Raider Voice says, do you really think the NFL really never thought about the consequences if they decided to relocate the Raiders? What do you mean by that? Raider Voice, let me tell you something. You never stand on ceremony. You never assume that because a person has a title or an organization has a name that they've thought of things. I will tell you, in my 56 years on this earth, more often than not, it's been the opposite. Okay? I mean, let's take your question. Let's take this question. I want to just frame this, all right? Let's take this question. Do you really think the Raiders never thought about the consequences if we decided to relocate the Raiders? And let's apply that. Let's apply that question. Let's take this. Do you really think that NASA never thought about the consequences of using the O-rings in the space shuttle in 1986? The space shuttle called Challenger. Ooh, okay? Turn on your thinking cap, man. That's the same question. And look what we got. We got deaths in space because people were afraid to ask questions. What you're saying is, hey, don't ask a question. You assume that they got it right. You assume nothing. To assume is to make an ass of you and me. Remember that. To assume is to make an ass of you and me. Never assume. Do your fucking homework. And then ask the question. Okay? Never fear to ask the damn question. You fear to ask the damn question, you're doing everybody in society a harm, including yourself. Don't do that. Okay? Wake up. Wake the frick up. What are you doing? What are you doing? Dustin Scott says, Sheldon is patiently waiting for Mark to suffocate from the inside. He's lying in wait. This is his town. You know, Dustin, I believe that. It feels like vultures. You know, it's like they're kind of like, dun, 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 dun. You know, they're watching. You know, can he do this? Everyone's like, can he do it? Someone told me that. Everyone's watching if he can pull it off. Eric Thomas asks, hey, Mark, what do you think about the Bears? Oh, man. I always ask this spiritually, why Oakland? Why does Oakland have to go through this? Okay? You know? That's what I don't get. What do we do? You know, Oakland's a great city, great people, beautiful people, lots of history, lots of fun, lots of great memories, you know? Maybe Mark didn't have a lot of great memories of growing up on Mountain Boulevard over there. I don't know. Rob Iman says the new stadium in Las Vegas we call it Sears Stadium. that plays along with there you go. Pro Under Pressure says it's sad for the NorCal fan base. It's very sad. It's sad for the NorCal fan base. It is also sad for the Las Vegas fan base. Why? Because the normal person there is suddenly being foisted upon that person the scenario of a future looking at a stadium that they probably can't afford a ticket to go and see any event in. Okay. That's bad. Now, if the Raiders tank, not play well, not tank, but not play well on the field, and the secondary ticket prices go down, second story, but then it's another story, right? Patrick M. Blackman says Davis may have changed his tune if the fans stopped showing up for home games from the start. True. Dustin Dewey says, do you think the city of Oakland will try to keep the Raiders' name and colors? I only ask because I'm not up to date on the lawsuit situation other than there is one. I appreciate that question. No, the city of Oakland, I'm going to say this. Look, Godfather Grizz and Forever Oakland want the name and colors. They're the ones that started that, okay? That was their thing. And they pushed it, you know, peered to what little media there is that's around, and that's their thing, all right? Let's push them aside for a second, you know, in this conversation, all right? Come back to the other side. The city of Oakland knows you can't win with that strategy in court. There are too many protections against what the Raiders own, all right? However, there are monetary damages to be gained that are just quite literally sitting there on a platter with respect to not dealing in good faith, not following the NFL's own bylaws and on relocation bylaws, okay? And what's notable is the St. Louis court path, if you follow it, has basically laid the groundwork for the Raiders lawsuit, all right? So the city of Oakland does not want the name and the colors. The city of Oakland wants money. Money, all right? Peter Thompson says, Zenny, what about the Warriors relocating? Isn't that sort of the same issue as the Raiders, but I don't hear it brought up as much? No, and I'll tell you specifically what that is. That's about, and if you want to know, here's something else, Peter. I play it for you, but I think just in the interest of the flow, if you go to Zenny62 on YouTube here and type Joe Lacob, and look for my interview with Joe Lacob, you'll see it. And then also Ed Lee. Ed Lee will tell you there's a whole series of interviews I conducted on the day the Warriors had a preview party for its new arena plans, which the press mistook for a groundbreaking. It wasn't a groundbreaking, but this was in 2012. And what Lacob told me was the city of San Francisco. And again, folks, this is economic development. It's another example, and this is where the two are similar. Over Oakland's lousy economic development effort, if you're going to call it that, Oakland's lousy economic development department got skunked. Okay. In this case, with the Warriors by San Francisco, who under the late Ed Lee and friend. Ed Lee was a client of mine in 1992, 93, when he was over the Human Rights Commission. Aggressively went after the Warriors. All right? So, and Raiders Voice says, now I think about it, why St. Louis and San Diego haven't gone with a lawsuit as well as the teams? Raider Voice, you're not paying attention. No, folks. Look at this. I want to hold Raider Voice out as an example here. This is funny, okay? This is an example of not paying attention. He says, now that I think about it, why St. Louis and San Diego haven't gone with a lawsuit? Well, excuse me. St. Louis did. The St. Louis lawsuit has laid... Dude, what's going on with you? You don't know anything about the St. Louis NFL lawsuit? And yet you're asking these questions? What the fuck is wrong with you, dude? I'm sorry for cursing here, but this is like... Oh. This is horrible to come here and not have that kind of... And express that kind of, like, well, I know, but you don't know. Lack of knowledge. All you have to do... This is the internet, my man. All you got to do... Or... My lady, you may be a woman. I don't know. All you gotta do is go here, okay? Type St. Louis, NFL. Here, take a look at this. All I have to do, as Eric says, all I have to do is I type this, right? Look, St. Louis NFL. What does that say? NFL. I didn't write. I just typed St. Louis NFL, right? What does it say? Look at this. St. Louis NFL lawsuit update. Okay? Look at that, all right? So, okay, so all I have to do is just scroll down here, and I get my update, and I just click and I wait. Look at that. Missouri Court of Appeal again rejects arbitration in Rams lawsuit, okay? All right. Rams Kroenke lose another round in court over St. Louis move. Ooh. Rams agree to settle a lawsuit over St. Louis seat licenses. Ooh. Settlement reached, okay? Look at this, and this is the big one. Does St. Louis lawsuit against the NFL mean hope for City of Oakland? All right. Are you getting the picture? Okay. All right. That's Ray Ratto. Good job, Ray. Good job, Ray. Are you getting the picture? Hello, McFly. McFly, I'm referring to the guy in the Back of the Future. You know, the guy we always say, McFly. I'm talking about Marty McFly was played by Michael J. Fox. And Buff Tannen would say, McFly. Yeah, Buff Tannen. Thanks, underrated guy. Yeah, Biff. Yeah, exactly. McFly. Jeez Louise, man. I don't believe this. Wake up, dude. Biff. Hey, the high-end drunk. How you doing, the high-end drunk? And Blabs. Biff. What's up, Biff? I've actually known 2 Biffs in my life. Seriously, okay? Black Lion says, just like Cleveland did, they wanted money, and it was the money they got, the name and the colors. Raider voice. Well, I got you. Okay, so now you know better, all right? No, tee up another one. What else you got? Patrick M. Blackman says, I wonder, what did he say? Patrick M. Blackman says, I wonder how fans that live in Oakland view fans that don't live in Oakland. It seems that fans that don't live or not in Oakland don't seem to mind them moving. That's true. And that's true. I think, well, for the most part, you have people in Oakland who say, look, get out. We're tired of this. It's always some fan in Ohio or Carolina who, in some cases, never really visited the Coliseum or saw the A's, or excuse me, the Raiders, let alone the A's, who says, oh yeah, I'm on their side, I'm a homer, I'm a fan. That's great to say that from a distance. But for the people in Oakland, it's a different story. People who are harmed by that. People who count on the Raiders to help them make their ends meet. You work a job with the A's, work a job with the Raiders, you couple those together, next thing you know, voila, you got a full $68,000 a year income. Seriously. Or $70,000. Seriously, okay? So, getting your Ronald Harris says, I lived in Seattle. I'm not cool with a move. A season ticket holder too. Ron, I stand corrected. There you go. John Acala says, do you think the Raiders decide where to play next season in a couple of weeks? No. They may have some, I mean, look, to say that they have options, if they had a place to go, all right, they would have said we're going here. The simple fact they haven't done that, life's pretty simple. The simple fact that they haven't done that means they don't have a place to go. I had a friend tell me, who's a friend of Mark's, and I said, I put this out on Friday night. Hey, they don't know where they're going. He doesn't know. All right. Pro Under Pressure says Reno Raiders has a nice ring. Yeah, I like that, Reno Raiders. It could also be thought of as whatever. Oakland says they're not stopping moves, so injunction's out of the question. No, the city of Oakland wants money. The city of Oakland is not trying to stop the move. It probably could, but it can't. But they're not interested. Patrick and Blackman says, I haven't been to Oakland yet, but I wish they would stay there. Davis doesn't care about splitting up the fan base. And Cowboy Wrestler just retracted his message. Okay. The guy says not. I missed something, not what. It's here. Oh, Eric Young said, sorry, Eric, I missed your comment here. Eric Young says the NFL could just designate the new Las Vegas Stadium for Super Bowls. I don't care what anyone says, there will never be an all out home field advantage for any team. Eric, I think you're right, and I think it's a great idea. I think it's a fantastic idea. And um, the Arizona Cardinals, what do you say? The Arizona Cardinals open to share their stadium. Hey, I heard that, but here's the thing: they're going to do it for free. Look, that's the question. It's one thing to say the Raiders could go here or there, but the Raiders have until March to really decide what they're going to do. But I think it's bad. As a season ticket holder asked me about this at the game where I interviewed. We were just talking, and this was at the Kansas City game, and he said, "Hey, what's going to happen to my season tickets after?" And this is before Davis says, "I'm not going to play next year," because it was still uncertain, right? Where are they going to play? They're still up out in the up. He says, "What's going to happen with my season tickets? I don't know." See, for the Raiders to leave their season ticket holders in limbo like this is really bad. I mean, that's a heck of a way to treat your season ticket base. So you're saying to me, well, they're going to play in Arizona. Okay, so you have season ticket holders who've been loyal to you. I'm talking about the ones that are still with you. And you're going to make them pay to fly to Arizona to see your contest, spend all that extra money because you're upset. Oh, poor baby. Seriously. Come on. Again, to ask the question of society today, who does that, right? Lady Marcel says, understand the history of the Raiders. You understand that Oakland made the brand in both the city, in both the city of Oakland, and Mark Davis could care less. What? Fans need to show Mark how important we are. Oh, I get it. Okay, Lady Marcel. Yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying. I do think the city of Oakland cares. Libby cares. Her parents are longtime Raiders season ticket holders, and my godparents, they do care. So, yeah, you may even know them. But the whole point is, you're right. Fans need to show Mark how important we are. But here's the thing. I have to say, Lady Marcel, if Mark Davis doesn't get that by now, Mark Davis should not own the Raiders. Okay? That's not something that the fans need to show Mark Davis. Mark Davis doesn't need to be shown anything. Enough of this. Enough of this. This has all been about pleasing Mark, making Mark happy, giving Mark a stadium design, giving Mark this. Mark needs to do the Christian thing and start giving to people. All right? And that's what's lost in all this is really a Christian ethic. You have guys like Derek Carr out there who say they're great Christians. You know what? Stand up for what's right before your team, for the people, and say, hey, you know what? From a Christian perspective, I think we need to stay here, work out our agreements with Oakland, settle what we've done, make them happy, and figure out a way to move forward as one. That's what Christians do. There is no example of God in this at all. Okay? So Derek Carr, if you're watching this, hey man, you're a man of God. Those people who are on the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, who are on the Raiders, hey, stop just sitting back and letting this stuff happen, man. Because the owner is not treating people with the kind of respect that Christians bring to the table when they work with people. Kyle Barres says Mark Davis is Jewish. Look, my last name is Jewish. I think most of the girlfriends I've dated have been Jewish. The ethic is still the same in terms of morals, in terms of how you treat people. No. Okay? So I'm, no. All right. What else we got here? Arcus, are you coming out to the game in Oakland? Like the Jackson 5, I'll be there. No, I'm not. It's Christmas Eve. I'm here in Georgia. My mom has been sick. It's been a very hard year. So I am here where I need to be. And it's Christmas Eve, you know? It's Christmas Eve. I mean, if I were there, it would be one thing. Yeah, but it's Christmas Eve, and you track Santa on Christmas Eve. You don't go to football games on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. I want to stay home and track Santa. You ever look at the Santa tracker? You know? Well, yeah, I'll watch the game. It's Monday Night Football. But it ends 30 minutes to midnight Christmas Eve on the East Coast. Okay. It's Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve. So, oh no, Radio Guy says, if Forever Oakland was the city, that's the plaintiff, it would have been what you're saying is Forever Oakland wants name and colors, not the city of Oakland. Sorry to break the bad news. Right. Forever Oakland wants the colors. The city of Oakland, the name and the colors. The city of Oakland does not want that. Silver and Black, I don't live in Georgia. I live in Oakland. Joseph Armendariz says, I send rent there on a regular basis. Joseph Armendariz says, just send Chargers back to San Diego and slide Raiders in LA. Doesn't matter how good the Chargers play, they're not going to be successful in Los Angeles. You mean in terms of crowd, because they're winning games. Let's see here. And make sure, let's see here. Trying to get, Joe Lopez says, I get annoyed by Raider fans who live outside the Bay Area who criticize us Bay Area fans for boycotting the Las Vegas move. Yeah, it's a little much. Osmond Dias, how you doing? Osmond Dias 714 says the NFL owns the Raiders and Mark Davis. Yeah, that's basically true. But your point is, I think someone earlier said, how could the NFL allow this? And again, I think it was it Pro Player, the guy out of Reno says it was Jerry Jones. Yeah, Jerry Jones really did drive a lot of this. That was absolutely true. But more to the point, do you know who one of Jerry Jones' good business friends is? Sheldon Adelson. And Jerry Jones personally told me, okay? Personally, all right? Yeah. Jerry Jones personally told me, that he thought, and I quote, that Sheldon Adelson will make a great, and his team will make great NFL owners. He said that. This was, now when did he say it? He said this to me at the October NFL owners meeting in Houston, okay, in 2016, because the spring league meeting was in Charlotte. The fall meeting was in Houston. So yeah. So Black Lion says, who wanted the colors in Cleveland? Did the city sue for the colors? No, but they did. But did they go after them? They didn't. They shaking my head. And Joseph Armendariz says yes. Okay. So anyway, I know Raider Guy says, Lopez, I do have a problem. I'm from Sacramento, live in Vegas. Now my heart's always NorCal. My problem is people who say F Vegas but love NorCal. Look, all this stuff about F this, F that. I F neither one. And it's this kind of exchange that you get when you have this zero-sum game in terms of economic development. This is what happens when you take a team from one place and move it to another, quite literally, you know, without vote or decree. I mean, all right, this is the kind of discourse you get. Las Vegas is a great city. I'm credentialed to cover CES for the 10th year in a row. I love Las Vegas. This does not mean I want to see bad for Las Vegas. Never. This was, I think, 6 years ago. I tried to call Stephen Hill, who was the state's director of economic development at the time, and is now the executive director of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. I've always admired Stephen Hill's work in economic development. He is one of what I call the big play. He was one of the big names. He's a great guy, and I was honored to have the pleasure of meeting him this year at CES, and hopefully I'll get a chance to see him again. So I don't. That's what hurts about this is that people have had great admiration for who are involved in this. I don't want to be at odds with them. I like what Steve does. So for me, and I love Las Vegas. I understand the culture. I understand its problem. I understand they gouge people way too much. It has some negative aspects to it, but it has some positives too. It needs to work on its racism too. It's getting better though. All right. Hey, Lucky Gamer, how you doing? Dustin, I agree with you. Dustin Dewey said, I just wish the whole thing could have went down without lawsuits. 1,000,000% agree. But you know what? Given the way this went down over a period of years, we're at a point now where the only way I can see a good situation to come out of this is through court adjudication. Or which might force a type of settlement, I hope. Hey folks, it's 2:30. I've been on now, well, I'll stay on for another 10 minutes. Yeah. I'm good, Lucky Gamer. I'm good. But, oh, by the way, I had the wrong category. I had this people in blogs. I should have changed the category to, how it happened. I should change the category to sports. But, I had people in blogs and all of you came. And I was thinking, what I was talking about was this designation. Radio Guy says, how long ago? What were you thinking about when you said that? Unknown Raider Guy. He says, how do I benefit from the lawsuit? What kind of questions are these? I mean, what kind of question is that? Dustin Scott says, Mark and Mark crossed Sheldon, and you don't cross Sheldon, Adelson, in Vegas. He's laying in wait, waiting to suffocate them from the inside. He's being quiet and patient. That's scary. Dustin Scott gets the comment. I want everybody to see this comment, all right? I want you, when did St. Louis file the lawsuit? Last year. I want everybody they filed it last year. Actually 2016. I want everybody to see this comment. Mark and Mark cross Sheldon, and you don't cross Sheldon in Vegas. He's lying in wait, waiting to suffocate them from the inside. He's being quiet and patient. That's scary. Keep that in mind, folks. Dustin's hit it on the head. He's absolutely right. Unknown Raider Guy, I don't know how long this court case could take. It could wind up in the Supreme Court. This has landmark case written all over it. Arcade says, can you explain to the people the relationship with legends and Jerry Jones making money from all new stadiums? Be delighted to, okay? I'd be delighted to, all right? And Silver Black says, why the dedication to the lawsuit? You mean, why did I ask for the lawsuit? Because there were a number of wrongs that were done. In fact, Silver and Black, I want you to type in Google this. Roger Goodell, Zenny62, May 24th, 2016. That video, what Commissioner Goodell says, lays out the lawsuit, all right? Okay? So look at that while I'm dealing with the task of happily looking at all of the other comments here. Raider Voice says, I'm just happy the Raiders will have their stadium no matter where. I hate it where the media trashes the condition Alameda. Raider Voice, I agree with you. Black Lion says, I hate to tell you. And then, I meant to go back to here where it says, Poe Pressure says, the fact that Jerry Jones is Sheldon's associate is scarier. Yeah. Now, in terms of Jerry Jones has set up two organizations, or partnered in two organizations that are critical to what's going on here. One is called Concession Sports and Leisure, CSL Consultants, and they produce sports-related analysis of ticket price, ticket buying capacity of fan bases, among other things, and economic studies. They have been known to write economic studies that were favorable to a project, okay? they haven't been known to, okay, they've been favorable to a project, okay? So the other organization, Legends, is a concession and hospitality organization, all right? And they stand to gain, I have the calculation here, I have to dig it out because I didn't commit it to memory, but I have it written, I have it in my spreadsheet. They had, in terms of what they stand to gain, if they are indeed the concessionaire or the concessionaire and luxury suite sales organization of choice, which right now they're not. And that's another issue. They were supposed to be. Somewhere along the way, things got a little, and that's where I need to research because their name was associated with it, and then all of a sudden, I saw something where Raiders were going to search for an organization. I thought, wait a minute, Legends is supposed to be in that slot. Don't know what happened. Let's see here. Oaktown A says, I always felt the NFL was using Mark Davis to get into Vegas and then force him out. Eric Young says, Mark Davis is getting played. Stevie Wonder can see this. Yep. John Acala says, Raiders never wanted to stay in Oakland. They talked to Vegas behind their back there. Thus the lawsuit. Hey, John Acala, tell Silver and Black that. Because Silver and Black is asking these questions, and I'm thinking, why are you asking these questions? You know, why do you care? Why are you afraid of the lawsuit? What's your role in this? Who are you? What's your real name? Which, if I wanted to look at your IP address and your ID code, which I happen to have, I could figure out. But, you know, I'll do you the courtesy of your privacy, right? Okay, unless you want me to reveal who you are, which I can do in a second. Why do you care? All right? Think about this. You might think you're anonymous, but you're not. You can be outed. And that's for everybody in this room. So be nice. Be nice. Don't think you can get away with stuff. All right. Black Lion says, this will be like the end of the movie Casino for Davis. Nothing but bats and holes everywhere. John Acala is right, though. Yeah, you got it. Black Leah, you got it right. Black Lion, you got that's rich, man. I'm gonna repeat that one. This is worth highlighting. Okay, look at this. This will be like the end of the movie for Casino for Davis. Nothing but bats and holes everywhere. Oh gosh, I wonder if I can. Well, you know what? Even if I found it, I couldn't play that ending here for copyright reasons. It's unfortunately, if I just use like 3 minutes from that movie, they take the whole thing of this away from me. Jeez. I mean, they wouldn't take it away from me. They take the money that would gain in terms of ad revenue, right? And so, okay. And so basically, so at any rate, let's see here. We've got, see what other comments I made that are worth it. And I know Ray Guy says, that's not going to stop Vegas move. Oh, Arquette says, so Legends is no longer involved with the Vegas stadium. No, it doesn't appear that they are. Oaktown A says, don't you think fans should have stayed away from the games? Trading Khalil Mack was ridiculous. Yeah, I do. But, you know, it's the power. It's the power of an institution, and it speaks to the power of the Raiders that one person's departure cannot wreck it like that. It is a brand in the Oakland context. It'll be interesting to see how this translates in Vegas. It's a brand that has a life of its own. Oh no, Raider Guy says, get Black Lion Supreme get mad at Oakland for not trying to file an injunction. He has a point. Had I been the mayor, that injunction would have flown out of the window. I would have said, you ain't going nowhere. You know, you just stop here and talk to us. I'd have filed that injunction. For the same reasons, the city of Oakland is filing lawsuit for damages. I've used that to say, hey, you know what? These folks did not work in good faith with us. They ain't going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere. The way I am, I even crafted a screenplay around this. I'd have the Oakland police arrest Mark Davis. I'm serious. And say, you know what? You're not going anywhere. You would say he's at Alameda, fine. I'll get the Alameda sheriffs. I don't care. That's the kind of hardball I'd play. You don't go anywhere. You sit and you talk with us, okay? Mark is lucky that this isn't going down in like the 60s and the 50s when public officials did that kind of thing. Different world today. But then, hey, you got the sheriff pissed off with the sheriff's friend with the mayor, friends with the council members, friends with the business community. Next thing you know, you got the cops showing up at your door saying, hey, we want to talk with you. All right? That's how it used to work. Okay? Think I'm kidding. And that's why I say this, for those of you out there who are in your 20s, relationships are the best medicine, all right? Relationships are the best medicine for everything, okay? I'm gonna be honest, if I was the commissioner of NFL, I would have said if a team leaves the city, it'd be automatically awarded a team fan on like Packers. I like that. Black Lion says, in other words, what he's saying is that Raider fans in Oakland should be awarded a team out of, loyalty to the fan base. Black Lion says, if this was just about our stadium, I'd be a Raider fan if they played on the moon, but this is some dirty dealings going on, and we all know it. And 32 Assassin says, Oakland did present a solution. Yeah, we did. Yeah, Silver and Black, I don't know who you are. Well, that's not true. I do know who you are. But I'll just, look. You're not going to get what you seek, okay? Oh, and that solution wasn't after the Vegas vote, Silver and Black, at all. That solution didn't come after the Vegas vote. In fact, the infrastructure plan for the Coliseum for the Raiders, do you realize that has been in place since 2012, and the financing for that has been in place thanks to Fred Blackwell since 2012? That's right. So when Larry McNeil was exchanging emails with then Oakland City Administrator Claudia Capio, who was the point person for the project, on all he was getting was information about an infrastructure plan that had been in place to that point for 4 years already. That's the infrastructure plan alone. We had the EIR done alone. This is all before the Vegas vote. So don't give me that stuff. You don't know the project. Okay, you have your agenda is based on incomplete knowledge and a lot of information and associations. That's it. That's all you got. Study up. Study up, okay? Ron Harris says, in Silver and Black, I'm not going to address any of your comments because I know where they're coming from and they're completely inaccurate. So you can just time out of this one, okay? Now, Ron Harris says, it's not Oakland's job to present a solution. Mark has no problems giving solutions to Carson and LA. Ron Harris. No, well, he's right. I mean, here's the other thing. Everyone talks about this. Mark Davis never once came up with a new stadium at all. There's no drawing that the Raiders have ever presented of a new stadium in Oakland at all, ever. So don't talk to me about the Raiders this, the Raiders that. The Raiders didn't do that for Oakland, but they did it for Carson. And they took what they did for Carson with Manteca Architects, and they used it for Las Vegas. But don't give me this BS about, oh, they came up with a plan for Oakland. The Raiders came up with zero plan for Oakland. Don't kid yourself, okay? at all. Don't kid yourself, okay? At all. And in 2007, Amy Trask told Matera Ross, San Francisco Chronicle, hey, we love the Coliseum. We have a stadium that we're playing in that fans enjoy. Okay? The whole idea of the Raiders moving didn't really start until after the lease term. We got to an option of lease area. It was after 2008. And when Mr. Davis died in 2011, October 8th, the very next day, Mark started to talk about Los Angeles. So this whole relocation mess is under Mark's watch, not his father. Elon Musk, Knives Channel. Hey folks, it is Elon. What about Elon Musk? Landlord says, Dustin Scott says, Oakland is lucky to have such a progressive mayor who stood tall in the face of the good old boys club of the NFL. I agree. Trust me, our mayor here in D.C., Muriel Bowers, would have done a cartwheel for the NFL. And Dustin, you know, I have to congratulate Libby for making the move, okay? No, I don't like, if I look at it, I tend to speak from a pointillist perspective. In other words, here's the artwork, and I'll say, you didn't do this, this, and this, okay? But that, in terms of filing that lawsuit, was needed to be done. She made the call. She did it. I'm proud of her for doing it, okay? All right. And where is this? Corey Brown says, seems like most people who say Oakland didn't have a plan don't even live here. They believe whatever they hear without fact-checking. Well said, Corey. You're right. That's right. That is a big problem. Because people in Vegas say, well, Oakland didn't have a plan. They'll eat up the pablum that they're served by the Raiders, who say, we didn't have a plan. Or the commissioners will say, you know, we've been waiting a long time. You know, I love Roger. But I also know that Roger is taking the side of Mark Davis, who is basically his boss of the owners. And while there are some owners like the late Bob McNair who thought that the staff was trying to control them, you know, there's this tug of war. And the staff, including Roger Goodell at the top, they didn't want Vegas. Now they feel like they're stuck with it. Why do you think Roger's going to bow out in 2006? I think is when his contract is done. He retires. So this is 2019 we're headed to. That's not too far away. Roger doesn't want to deal with the mess that gambling is going to bring, and he knows it's going to bring a mess. All right? Yep, Roger's taking the ching, cashing out. You know what? Let me take my money, count my money, and leave. Hey, exit stage left. You know? Or hey, his case, maybe stage right because he's right wing. Just kidding. Yeah. Ding, cha-ching, cha-ching. And Raiders did have a plan. What did they present? That's what Steve Scott would. No, the Raiders had a plan. The Raiders had a plan. What you're saying? Oaktown says Raiders didn't have a plan. And what did they present? This is what Steve Scott did with the Ace. They didn't present anything. The Raiders did not have a plan for Oakland. They presented. The Raiders have never... Look, there's no drawing. If I type Oakland Raiders Stadium, look at this. Oakland Raiders Stadium design, okay? If I type Oakland Raiders Stadium design in Google, right here, okay? All right, design Raiders Stadium. There's D8. Let's see, what is this, all right? Okay. That's Las Vegas, right? It's about Las Vegas. If I click on images, what do I get? See? even here, there's nothing here. That's Vegas. That's Oakland. All right. This is by the city of Oakland. This is by Forrest. This is by Floyd Gephardt. All right. And this stadium design that Gephardt presented was never broken out. We never saw anything in more detail about this. What is that? Okay. All right. Now here's a neat concept. Who's that by? Mies Architects. Look at that. But is that at the Coliseum? Okay. Who is that? Mies. Okay. What is that? It says this is a design study. In an effort to retain the Oakland Raiders in the market, Mies was engaged to design a cost-effective, state-of-the-art stadium. The design embodies the brand of the Raiders in a structurally impressive design in steel and black. But who hired them? Okay. This is 2016, all right? The cost is confidential. This is 75,000 seats. Now, this is news, okay? Folks, this is news. Because did the Raiders hire them? This is news. Look at this. I mean, that's cool. Okay, look at that. Another concept. See that? $75, that was this, okay. Look at this. Who hired them? See, that's the thing. I don't know. This said that they were retained by the Raiders. That's news. Yeah, I haven't seen anything about this until now either. Okay? It does look like this Dolphins Stadium. This is work by MBBJ, Staples Center, Paul Brown, renovation. They don't even list this officially. All right? Look, it's not even officially listed here. Okay? It says design study for a 75,000 seat stadium for the Raiders in an effort to retain the Raiders in the Oakland market. All right, Mies was engaged to design a cost-effective, state-of-the-art stadium. The design embodies the brand of the Raiders in a structurally impressive design in black, steel, and silver metal panels. Project type. Okay, here's some more at the bottom. If I scroll down here, this won't let me. No, that's not. You know what? That's another page. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's interesting because now that all right, I have, folks. I just happened to stumble upon that. I've never seen news about it. That was 2016. Now, this is big news. All right. This is right. This is big news. But whoever commissioned this, if this was 2016, the Raiders didn't commission this. And if Ronnie Lott commissioned this, he should have shown it. Let me see something here. Somebody commissioned this, but it was kept quiet. Okay. Mies Architects. It's been Dan Mies. What is Dan Mies? Why does that ring a bell? You know what? This dude was also involved in the design for the Coliseum Stadium, for the A Stadium at the Coliseum, if memory serves. I believe, yeah. Hold on a second. Mies Raiders. You just type Oakland Raiders. Mies Architects, Oakland Raiders. See what comes up. There is zero news about this. So, folks, you haven't missed anything. There's Oakland. Let me show you what I found here. Okay, look at this. Right? Oakland Raiders Stadium concept. That's Mies Architects. Yeah, Tom, it is shocking. Stadia, look at this. Okay, but these are two. This is their own media, okay? Then Mies, this is video. Multidisciplinary Stadium Architecture Practice. That's about Mies Architects. Cowboy Wrestling, I don't know what this is. But this is all this is gotten. Okay? This is news. Go to the source website. I did. I'll go back to it. This is the source website. This is the organization. Featured work, approach, process, and this is what it reads. Design study for a 75,000 seat stadium, effort to retain the Raiders. This has to be, this is 2016, okay? So if this isn't attached to Ronnie Lott's effort, yeah, it's thin on real details, but this is a cool design. I mean, they did a serious, this is serious. Look at this. Okay, look at this, okay? It is like the Dolphins Stadium. Okay? Look at this. All right? No, there are no words. I mean, but it's clear the Raiders didn't do this. This is 2016. Or if they did do it, they covered it up. No, there's not zero news. That's stupid. There's news here. Look at this. Exclusive fan end zone. Tailgate modular suites. This is their website. Yeah, this is their website. This is Mies, see? MiesArchitects.com. Oakland Raiders Stadium Concept Study. This is it. This is a not only that, look at this. What is this? Okay. So, and that's it. There's nothing about this. There's nothing about this. Nothing else about this. I love it. Yeah, I have a gut feeling the Raiders didn't do this. But someone did. Okay? You don't just do... This thing costs money. Someone commissioned this, and they didn't let the media know about it. You know, I remember people telling me... I remember Nate Miley telling me that he saw a concept for the Raiders Stadium in the Raider offices. And I didn't believe him. I said, well, show it. If you have the drawing, show it. He goes, I have it. So I said, show it. Let me see it. Okay? And never showed it. And I'm wondering if this is it. And I'm trying to remember... It was 2016 and he told me it existed. I'm going to ask him again, 32 Assassin. I am. Because again, as you've seen, no one's talked about this. I'm going to change that tonight. So you think the Raiders would at least presented an Etch-a-Sketch? Well, I did, right? But you could have fit this concept in with mine with the hotels. Interesting. But whoever came up with this, let me try something else here. I'm going to let you guys look at this again, okay? This is what we're talking about if you're just joining us. All right. Let me see something. This is MiesArchitects.com. Let me see something here. Okay, there's images, news. There's no news. See, there's no news, right? There's no news about this. right? Nothing. Okay? Nothing. All right? There are the images, of course. This is how I found this by accident, right? Okay, this one. Raiders concept here. Then they had, that was one particular concept of it. Then there was this, okay? Then there was this, okay? And there's that at night. Let's take this one. We haven't seen this one. Let's break this out, all right? Look at that, okay? And that's, again, Mies. And this is a lot like, this is what, you know what, Mark Davis, this may be the Raiders, but they never presented it because Mark Davis, I remember saying, someone said that it was like Seattle. All right? They said it was like Seattle. So I have a feeling this may have been for the Raiders. Because someone told me, I think it was Nate Miley who told me that Mark Davis wanted something like what he'd seen in Seattle. Take a look, folks. Look at this, okay? Look at this. All right? Oakland Raiders design concept. Right, it looks like Seattle Stadium. I'm just putting 2 and 2 together, and I'm trying to figure out 4. All right? Wait, Mark always used CenturyLink as an example. Yeah, he did. This is it. I think this is something that he asked for but then covered up. Okay? I wonder if it says the cost is confidential. No, the cost is confidential. Confidential means they figured out what the cost was, but they didn't want the information released. This thing was never reported on by anybody outside the architect, who obviously wanted credit for it. It's great. It's a great design. This is a story, folks. Yeah, something's going on. You know what I'm saying? So, spread the word. Put this out there. I'm talking about this. I'm gonna write this as a blog. This is really, this is really interesting. Okay, the mystery stadium that the Raiders, that could have been in Oakland. Okay, I like Black Lives says, by George, I think he's got it. By George, I think he's got it, folks. It's 3:02 in the morning in the East. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna sign off. Tommy does make the whole move more disappointing, but also more interesting. This, how this came about and why it wasn't presented to the city of Oakland, if it wasn't, or if it was, all right? You mean to tell me that, right, Kelber Rest says, you mean to tell me that NBC, CBS, and ESPN didn't get this story? No, they didn't. Look at this. Look, okay? Look. Mies Architects, Oakland Raiders news. Okay? Nothing here. All right? Nope. Nothing here. Okay? Nothing here. All right? Nothing here. Okay? If you look, all right, that's news. You want to look at the website itself? Check on all over here, right? Okay? Check a look. Oakland Raiders Stadium concept, Mies Architects, Dan Mies. Nothing else. See that? No news, no nothing. I'm going to change that in a second. All right. So, I'm breaking this story. All right. I'll see you all later tomorrow. Happy holidays. Tom Claus says, I think it was presented behind closed doors. I got to see Cowboy Rush. That's what I'm going to find out. All right. The 32 Assassin search can't be manipulated that well. I found it. Okay? I found this. But search cannot be manipulated that well. My point is, no media is going to report on this and then pull what they wrote. Because the cache would still be available on one of the, sites, okay? This is a freaking big story out there. All right, I got work to do. Okay, folks, I'll see you all. Stay tuned tomorrow because we got a big story. Stay tuned also for my quick vlog on this. I'm doing a vlog right now, okay? Right now, all right? I'll see you all. In fact, you know what I'll do is I'm going to stop. You want to have some fun? I'm going to stop this vlog. No, hey, Black Lion, but this is the next horror film. I'm going to stop this live stream. I'm going to start a new live stream strictly on this, okay? It's going to be a short one, 5 minutes. So just give me a little bit. I'm going to talk about the Oakland Raiders stadium concept that no one ever saw. Come back. I'll see you in a sec.